You've hit record?
Yep.
Just give us a clap.
1, 2.
Hey, welcome to Kreeda Talks. Today we have Prashant Singh with us. Prashant needs no introduction. Welcome to the show, Prashant.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to dive right into this, right? So Prashant, anytime your name comes up and the first word that's associated with your name always is grassroots. Let's start off trying to understand what exactly is grassroots.
Right. So initially, it was always thought that children's football is grassroots, and now after we have the new technical director in the Asian Football Confederation. UEFA was different, so now he's come to AFC, the new technical director, and he's as per his philosophy, anything that's not professional and anything that's not elite is a part of grassroots. So it's not restricted just to the age. So your veterans is grassroots, your community football is grassroots, your disability football is grassroots. So anything that is not elite, non-elite or non-professional is a part of grassroots. So that just widens and broadens the the entire impact of grassroots. So yeah, that's the new definition of grassroots. It's not just about children anymore.
Thank you, man. No, because we've heard this a lot, right? Anybody, when we speak about grassroots, generally people think it's under 6, under 8, under 10. So it's not got nothing to do with age, right? It's about where the whole thing is happening. So yeah, man, we work in that space as well, right? So we work in the space. I would say grassroots again, now that we know the new definition of grassroots. So we've been working in a space where we're trying to build the sports technology ecosystem, right? So yeah, I understand that. Talking about technology, I want to throw this question at you. You've been working in grassroots for I think at least more than half a decade now?
Yeah, it's been like around 8 years.
8 years, right?
2011, so 9 years. I'll complete 9 years.
9 years. Do you think today in grassroots we have good enough infra for talent to come out?
If you talk about infra, if you compare the scenario like since when I started out 8 years back, it's definitely improved a lot. I would definitely say that. But yes, we've taken a lot of steps forward. But where it needs to be a developed football nation, we still have a long way to go. But have we come far from where we were like a decade back? Yes. Like just think about our playing days. We were just playing on the roads, we kept two flip-flops, apna chappal we used to keep, and those were the goals, and our toes were bruised most of the times, and then we had to wait, the cars pass by, and then we start playing again. But now what has happened is, because of lack of open spaces, especially in a metro city like Mumbai, now there are all these turfs that are popping up. So yes, there are a lot of pros and cons, but the good thing is at least it's not accessible to all because it has a price.
Yes.
But then nowadays, not only children, anyone and everyone has a turf within a 5-kilometer radius where he can go rent out and play. So he's not away from the sport anymore.
But has this translated into better players though? Like, would you say, because of, so when we were growing up, right, we didn't have these grounds on us. Takle Maidan the, roads tha, that's where we grew up playing, right? With better infra coming in, has it actually translated into better footballers being produced?
Not yet. But especially when we talk about grassroots, before we make any kind of judgments, grassroots is something where you have to give it at least 20 to 30 years before you actually see a tangible and a quantifiable difference. Because what happens is in grassroots you have a lot of horizontal growth, and that's the point. Like you have to broad base the game, you have to make the bottom of the pyramid as wide as possible.
Yes.
So what we feel to understand is we want results to be seen within 3 years or within 5 years. We say 5 years, 7 years is a long term plan. In grassroots, 5 years is nothing. It just even a setup like a proper policy wouldn't take more than 5 years to just
True.
set up.
True.
So what we see is in India we expect for every 2 horizontal steps we want to take 1 vertical step. And then we again
yes.
take 2 and then we, so he's like, hey, is this working? Hey, but is this working? You know, I mean, to have a sustainable growth, we need at least 10 horizontal steps.
True.
And
True.
then probably 1 vertical step.
True.
So I'm sure the infrastructure that we have right now is far from the best, but is it affecting the society and the ecosystem? Absolutely. Because right now, population like us who are working, like you are not actively playing, but how difficult it is for you to now just go and rent.
No, it's not at all. In fact, it's easier now than it was a decade back. Right?
Exactly. So now it's become, it's so, you know, I mean, because of these number of turfs, now it's become so accessible to everyone. Otherwise, only if you knew the people who play at the ground, only then you can go and play. Like we used to play in Tulsidam.
Yes.
Only if you know people in Tulsidam,
that's when you
go
got
and
to play. Oh, yes.
So now anyone and everyone can go and just rent out the space and
accessibility is increased.
Accessibility,
That's interesting. You actually spoke about a really interesting point, right? So time frame, because coming from the background of investing in sports products or any consumer technology products, one thing, the one term that's peddled around a lot is patient capital, right? So any investor coming in and putting in money in anything needs to be patient. But the time frame is never like given out, right? Kitna time lagne wala hai? So if I now look at what Japan did, they have a 100-year plan, right, to go win the World Cup. So it's obviously stupid on our part to say 5 साल में अपना बंदा लोग क्यों football नहीं खेल रहे अच्छा, right? So, but when we say that, hey, you know, there needs to be slow progress at least, right? So yes, we need to get the base of the pyramid wider, but there has to be some slow progress. What parameters do we judge them on? So like we've always been a country that rates success above anything else. Here, from what I'm understanding is success will come, but it'll take time. So how do we judge whether the programs that we are running today are actually going in the right direction?
So what I would say is, you know, for me personally, success is equal to more children playing football.
Okay.
Initial years, we just have to focus on quantity because the population of India doesn't matter at all. As long as you don't have a larger chunk of population playing the sport.
True.
So as of now, say for example, if I have to say Mumbai, if there are 1 lakh children playing football on a regular basis, first thing is to get that number to 10 lakhs. And that process is on. The horizontal growth is on, and it is happening as we speak. And once that base broadens, then of course you will start see a little better competition amongst the players, and automatically the filtered players will be much better. So the talent pool has to be bigger and wider. And yes, there will be a few short-term, even for the investors, there would be a few short-term benefits. And I'm sure even people who put in the money, even they are more concerned about the horizontal growth, which also complements the entire grassroots growth. So that's what I feel like, you know, for me the biggest parameter for growth of a grassroots ecosystem would be how many more children are playing, how many more grounds are available. Is the infrastructure growing? Is the number of children that are participating growing? Is there number of parents who are actively involved as volunteers or whatever? Is that growing? Are the number of referees growing? Are the number of coaches growing? So growth for me, at least in the initial years, because we are way far from other countries. So we should not be in a race to for the vertical growth, because it would be very unsustainable. We will just probably have a golden generation, we'll go wow, and then again everything will keep falling down. So yeah, I think growth should be focused on the horizontal line, and then vertical growth is a byproduct, and it just needs a little catalyst to really take it up.
Okay. I'm going to try equating a concept that we use in marketing and branding, which is called loyalty, right? So what we look in that is, say, I'm selling these bottles of water, okay, unbranded though, okay. So say I'm selling these bottles of water, and in my first year of business, I have sold 1,000 bottles. In my second year of business, I've sold 1,500 bottles. So the first question that I will ask my salesman is, how many people bought it again? So that's one person I didn't have to sell it to again, right? How are we ensuring today that when we are widening the horizontal base of the pyramid, we ensure that it's not always new kids coming in, but kids sustainably playing over 7-8 years?
So, two aspects again, like you said, it's the acquisition and the retention.
Yes.
So, of course, now there are many things that the retention depends on. Like if a student would retain in my academy or in football at all. So what happens is, even in coach education and everywhere, there is a lot of awareness around this across the sports, not just football, is that for children, the first thing is that it should be fun. Because statistics have proven, like 1,000 children play football, one probably might become a footballer, and probably might become a professional footballer. So in order to get that one child, we cannot neglect the other emotional, social, physical needs of the 999. So what we usually do is, yes, we try to keep a very positive learning environment, and there is a lot of awareness. Like initially, even our parents used to think like sports and academics are inversely proportional.
Yes.
Ek upar gaya to other has to come down,
Yes.
or vice versa. But modern studies, and there are a lot of research that both actually play equal amount of importance in an overall character development of a child.
Yes,
Sports actually plays a higher role than academics.
I think so too, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Because education is, I'm anti-schooling and all.
Damn,
but,
I would love to know about this.
But education system is mainly focused on just information. That's just driven by information. And even now, information is just 2 clicks away. What we lack are the soft skills, the creativity, and the jobs which are driven by information are the first ones that are going to go due to automation.
Yes.
And the future, there would be a higher demand, way higher demand for individuals with which have a lot of soft skills, high on creativity, good EQ. So those are the things that's the need of the future. So again, coming back here, in especially in when we talk about children, we mainly talk about, like, it's after all, it's their playtime, and play is their right. It's given by United Nations. The child has the right to play.
Yes.
And we as adults have absolutely no business to take the fun away from the child's playtime.
Yes.
So keep it fun, and as long as the child is enjoying, he will be definitely retained in any sport.
Okay.
So that's a long story short would be, everyone has to, including the parents, coaches, everyone whoever is involved around the children, and we have to make sure that the fun aspect is not on, even in the national team for that matter.
Oh, true.
If our Sunil Shekis and all, if they stop having fun,
There's no.
So even they are enjoying in their
True.
national camps.
True.
So so are the children.
True.
Fun aspect has to be there across.
Okay, I'm going to get back to that point of education. Not talk about theoretical education in the classroom. I mean, that's a 5-hour podcast in itself, right? But if you look at how education's run, and we've always placed importance on success, right? There, the point is never widen the base. It's get the best product in, because I am a brand. My school's a brand. I need best ranking students to come out of here. And is the footballing ecosystem, and I'm just talking about the footballing ecosystem now, because cricket is slightly different. Cricket, if you actually look at it, at an under 8 level itself, even there, it's merit based. Though the entry point for football, there is no merit based system, right? So, and which is cool because right now we're far away from attaining that. But at what age do you start gating so that, and pardon my thoughts over here, so that we don't have a bunch of 20-year-olds just running around and kicking the football, but they don't know how to play football, right? So at a point, we'll also have to start looking at merit-based systems. When does that happen in India? And are you in agreement with the way the system runs today?
So one thing I would like to say is you cannot gate anyone.
Okay.
One. So irrespective of someone's ability, we cannot stop him from not playing.
No, obviously.
What we do require is layering. So you of course layer the players as per their ability. So say for example, yes, if you have a bunch of players who are like really good, so probably they are in a separate batch. Training on different, their timing is different, their center is different, and they're even playing probably a more competitive league. But anyone and everyone who wants to play football is still a customer for the ecosystem. He will still go and buy those shoes. He will still go and buy the jersey.
True.
So, you know, and they are the ones who are going to be in a bigger number. Because if you start getting, there is no way to stop. Enough is never enough. You know, you always want to acha nahi mere ko itna acha chahiye. No, I want this. So you will, you know, actually zoom in only to those players, and then that small chunk is not enough for the entire ecosystem. So
Okay.
right now, like Nivea, when we bought our first shoes, तो एक ही brand था market में, just Nivea, and उसका भी एक ही model था, whatever you call it. So and उसमें भी हम लोग का luck के ऊपर रहेगा कि हम लोग का जूता is available or we used to order कि वो size 6.
I remember the first time Vector X came out with the white boots when Beckham started wearing them. Everybody wanted that, and the whole ecosystems come like एक पूरा circle हो चुका है. Now people want black boots.
Correct.
Growing up, we only had black boots, right?
Correct.
It's interesting.
I remember one of my friend, he actually used a whitener.
Oh man, like,
to turn his shoes because he tried so hard, but वो Star Impact भी आया था.
Yes.
And he couldn't get those for his size. But now if you look now, because and not all of us made it to the pro team.
No.
But we are still here sitting and chatting and thinking out ways to still contribute.
True.
So that player at the age of 20 probably cannot even kick the ball. But as long as he's falling in love with the game, tomorrow he joins back the ecosystem. Because in 20 years, he's the one who's going to sign the check. For the sponsorship deal or something. So probably the guys who are signing the checks right now, they have a soft corner for cricket. This 20-year-old, if he falls in love with the game, and it's our responsibility to do so, he will sign a check for football because he'll have a soft corner. So, you know, we don't want to get, but I agree to your point when you talk about talent identification, you cannot group them together. So that layering has to be there. You have your recreational teams, and then you have your team in transitions, and then you have your elite teams. So that layering has to be there, but then everyone is welcome. So and that's even FIFA's philosophy: football for all.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Now, working in grassroots for around 9 years now, right? So, what's the biggest challenge you face trying to increase the number of players playing, kids playing every year, right? What's the biggest challenge that you face?
Initially, when I talk about Mumbai, it was initially the infrastructure. But now infrastructure is not a big of a problem. But the other problem is even retention, because the number of there has to be more parent education around it, and even the parents need to be more aware. And of course, it's our job to have workshops around it to make the parents aware. Like sport plays an important role in your child's overall character development. Because today he is learning how to dribble the ball, how to shoot the ball, how to pass the ball, how to head the ball. Sorry. So when he turns 26, 27, 28, probably he's not a footballer. But the soft skills that he's learned, like the leadership skills, the confidence, and most importantly, dealing with failure.
Oh yes.
So, I mean, people are going in depression when they lose a job or when they fail their board exams, they're
Yes.
committing suicides. So, all these issues can be tackled through sports. I even keep giving the example, like, sports has the power, even in areas like Syria or,
Oh,
when there
yes.
was tsunami. There are children and there are people who have seen, like, the worst possible thing in front of their eyes and they are in a big trauma. So sport is the tool that you can readily, that you can take there and they are, more, they have more acceptance towards sport. You cannot go to a war-hit country and you call the children, okay, come, we want to take a lecture. But you tell them, hey, come, we've organized a game of football for you guys or some fun games, a small festival. They would come, and then you get them together and give out a message. So I would say, like, again, parents need to buy in to this idea that football or any team sport for that matter teaches you a lot of soft skills which go, beyond just the sport. Sporting is just one of the things that a child is learning from playing football, but then there are these other things, other soft skills which he can carry on for his rest of his life. It'll make him a better brother, better parent, better father, better whatever.
Would you say this is a generational thing? So where, we've grown up with stories of our parents saying, right, 10 kilometer dur mera school tha, we had to do this, we had to do that.
Yeah.
Our generation doesn't talk about that, right? So we talk about sports. We say how sports is good and you should play. So would you say when our generation become parents, so in what, a decade from now, I'm guessing, things will become slightly easier? So will there be more acceptance? Because right now, when even I go and talk to parents, right, the biggest issue that I have today is our competition is not football versus cricket. Our competition for a 6-year-old is that math class or is that French tuition, right? I don't know why he needs to learn French. कौन सा French बात करने वाला है? France कितने बारी जाने वाले हो यार आप? But sports, as you said, it teaches us so many different things, but it's still so difficult to convince them. So do you think it's a generational thing where maybe in a decade from now it becomes slightly easier, where our generation has the acceptance for it?
To be honest, even when I speak to a lot of parents in my academy, fortunately, many parents are aware about the importance of sports. That is why they've put their child in it. But yes, it's like you rightly said, it is the generation gap, and when we become parents, probably our generation would be more inclined towards sports. It's not just because we would be more aware. Yes, awareness, of course, about the other non-sporting aspects of playing any team sport for that matter. But even the entertainment value of the sport would increase because let's be honest here, sport started off as an entertainment, right?
Oh yes.
So and the future of entertainment is also sports. So
Yes.
it is going to be like, yes, even we as parents would want to send our child to एक तो team sport खेलना ही है बेटा, be it football, basketball, whatever, but you have to be a part of a team sport. That's going to happen. Plus when we are, in 10 years time, probably the discussion on the dining table is going to be about one of those matches.
Oh wow.
Either ISL or IPL, or not Big Boss or Tarak Mehta ka Ulta Chashma. Because let's be honest, as of now, that's the talking point on the dining table of a family. They are talking Big Boss and Kaun Banega Crorepati and all that. So that's slowly going to shift because there is no feel good factor when you talk about Big Boss. You've already seen it in the US. The sport conversation reaches the dining table of a family.
Yes.
And the child grows up in that kind of environment, and now even he wants to play. And the parents are also supporting it. So it will get better with generation. When our children become parents, it might be even more better.
Yes.
Because they have been raised like that. We were not raised in that kind of environment. So they will become even better parents. And that happens with everything. Like, the generation after generation just keep getting better. And that's how we evolve.
True. Okay, talking about generations, right? And I think the way coaches coach their players have changed as well, right?
Yeah.
So back in the 70s and the 80s, and even till say 90s, I would say the tough taskmaster is what the coaches needed to be, right? So the moment you heard of a Ferguson, and you have heard players saying, "Hamari phatti hai yaar." Like if we didn't do well, we were scared of what he would do to us. So we used to play because of that. If you look at now, the kind of coaches that are coming in the next generation of coaches, right? So Pep Guardiola and maybe Mikel Arteta and ever smiling Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? Is the philosophy changing as well? Do you say, I'm going to come to the example of what happened in India, right? In Bombay, in grassroots, right? Where is it changing? Where, I mean, is it better to not be that tough taskmaster today? Does it work for students the age of what, 8, 10, 14? Or do you need to be a friend to them? In your experience, what have you seen? What works better?
Yeah. So what happens is basically we have adopted all these techniques. Of a tough guy, you have to be like a dictator. It's my way or the highway approach. That sometimes is okay. Sometimes it's okay in isolated sports, like where say for example running. Like if you have to run a 100-meter race, your technique is everything. You have to make sure your knees come up like this, and whatever, your shoulders, your hands go in some kind of a movement. But in football, you cannot do that, because football is a very creative sport. You cannot create the situation in training that's going to come tomorrow in your match. So that's why even the term drill, soccer drills.
Yes.
The term drill comes from a military term. It's drilled inside your mind.
Yes.
So it's. I mean, we cannot train our players like soldiers. Do this, do that. Aritra, go there. Then you pass the ball. Then you come back. That's drilling something.
Yes.
But in the match, who's gonna give Aritra that cue?
True.
Or that trigger that okay, now he has to execute it. So we train our players like soldiers, and we expect them to perform like artists on the weekend. So
yes.
The drill is the wrong term. So it's not drill, it's an activity or an exercise. So it's a football activity or it's a football exercise. Drill is the military term where you drill something inside someone's head. So that's out. And now what's happening is, if you see the previous generation of like Maradona and all these players, so football revolved a lot around individual skill. Like one player used to beat 6-7 and score a goal, and that used to happen a lot. If you see the FIFA technical reports, the average goals scored in the World Cups have come down, because now the defenders are getting intelligent, the formations and all these things are adapting themselves. So now individual, the team is not relying on an individual as much as it did. Then came speed. All the top players today, you name them, everyone has a lot of speed. Yes, because tempo is dictating a lot of modern game, and the future is going to be intelligence. Is something that I feel. I mean, it's something that I see happening. Is because now a team probably has 3-4 intelligent players, and they can see things happening half a second before their opponent.
Yes.
But now the future is going to be all 11 people have to see that situation happening half a second before the opponent. That's why you have someone like, you have 37, 38-year-olds still playing competitive high-level football, and 20, 21-year-old fit players just running around them. It's only because they are not even half as fit as those 21-year-olds or 19-year-olds. But they can see the situation half a second earlier. So in football, that's of more importance.
True.
So, and even the way players learn. So there is a lot of research that's done, like how there is transfer of knowledge that's happening. So initially it was just sit in a room, blah 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 blah, shout, and you just talk, and probably yes, that was those were the ways back then. But then now they say, if I hear, I forget. If I see, I remember. But when I do, I understand.
Ah, yes.
So right now, what we are right now, the new generation of coaches are also, and there are a lot of young coaches coming in every course. The average age is 22, 23 at every course. And we want creative players, but we even want creative coaches. So that's why the way of teaching has changed. and initially it was to be okay, I'm the senior guy, respect me. But nowadays you earn that respect by like showing quality on your in your training sessions. So you tell them, okay, because even now the children these days are smart.
Oh,
There's
yes.
a lot of information that when we were in your 7th 8th grade, we had no clue.
No
Coach
internet,
ने बोला तो
nothing.
ये करना है. But because the football coach was our only source of information about football. But now there are like n number of sources. They can go on YouTube, they watch Premier League, Champions League late night with their parents. Their friends are playing, probably their father is playing, they are getting the information. So now coach can be questioned like, sir, but aisa. So nowadays coaches have to keep up with the modern times.
True.
So I think and it's a better way. So it's not a drill anymore like I do in my way or the highway, but it's like a collectively passing on the intelligence. So when a player leaves the session, he should be thinking, I am smart. He shouldn't be thinking, my coach is smart.
Yes.
So that's the difference. Even what the generation needs. Like there's a lot of appetite for information in the current
Yes,
players.
yes.
So the coaches have to fulfill that appetite. We didn't want. We just wanted to go and play. But children nowadays want to know why this, why that, why do I do this.
True.
So the coaching has to also evolve.
Now I've seen that change, right? So when we were growing up, I think one back in the day formations we वही होते थे, the flat 4-4-2 formation where everybody had a set role. We were never told to go exploit spaces. वो सब सिखाया नहीं जाता था. Nowadays you see coaches doing that, right? Do you see that translating on field where a kid who started playing at the age of 6 has been coaching under, say, somebody in your setup? He's there for 3 years. Is he now making those intelligent runs or?
Yes, so what happens is mainly training sessions, like I said, initially they were like military drills.
Yes.
You keep a cone and there's one cone here. What you do is you take the ball from this cone, go to that cone and come back. So there is no freedom of expression for the child. He cannot do anything. So now, and it from the outside it looks very structured. Good session. But there is no decision making in that. There is absolutely no creativity, no freedom of expression. So nowadays, if you see a football training session, you will see there is a lot of randomness. Like the same exercise we do it, but the setup is different and it's very random. Just mimicking the match situation. Match itself is very random. You cannot say, okay, I'll do this, and after 2 steps I'll do that, because that's something you do in gymnastics. Like in gymnastics, a technique is an execution of a technique, but in football, a technique is an execution of a decision. You decide something and then you execute that. So here, yes, I mean, if we keep the children in that kind of an environment in which decision making, creative play is encouraged, then of course when they and not in my academy, in any academy, any place across the globe, if you keep the children in that kind of an environment, yes, of course, when they grow up, they will be the ones who would stand out, because that's what they've done week in, week out for the past 3 years. So we cannot have like a structured military regime, and we cannot train them like soldiers and expect them to perform like artists.
Okay, now, are there enough good coaches to impart this education though? So if we look at the coaching license hierarchy, right? So we have a D license, which if I have my facts right, I think it was set up by an Australian who had come to India and consulted the AIFF and set it up. I might be getting my nationalities wrong, but it was an international guy who came in and set it up. Then you have the continental AFC C, B and A licenses. Now, I think AFC A, if I'm right again, I think there are 40 to 50 licensed coaches or more.
No, there are no 100, I think 150 now.
Oh, that's amazing, man. That's good. But again, they're not going to be coaching at grassroots, right? So at grassroots, do we have enough good coaches? And are the coaches, like, is there anything being done to train the trainers technically? Like, so because they're the ones that are going to pass on this coaching to the players, right?
So again, if you compare it to the previous decade, we've come a long way.
Okay.
Because those labs I've gone like running laps and वो सब then our 1 hour football session में हम लोग को से last 15 minutes के लिए football मिलता था. Every 45 minutes is football. हम लोग को मालूम भी नहीं कि हम लोग what are we training.
Yes,
is going to be football or end में is going to be basketball or something. So yes, if you compare it from the previous decade, we have come a long way. And how much more time until we perfect it? It's a long way to go.
Obviously, yes.
But yes, we are taking those steps forward. They are also tangible steps, and you can actually see the difference if you just go and observe any academy for children, and if you see them train for 1 hour, observe the entire session, and now reflect back to go back to your own session, and you'll see like, wow, this is something new. So yes, there is still a long way to go. Like there are still many do's and don'ts that are still going on. But yes, we have taken some really progressive steps towards especially coach education. So coach education in India, I think in the past 1 decade has done really well. There is a long way to go, but yes, we have as a footballing nation taken steps in at least going. It's moving slowly, but at least it's moving in the right direction.
That's good to know, man. That's really good to know. So I think we've spoken about this a lot, right? Where you said base banana hai, right? So you need the base to be strengthened first. You need kids to come in and play. You need coaches to come in. You need more referees to come in. That's when the base gets strengthened. For all of this to happen, you need enablers. And enablers, I feel, is the biggest enabler is money, obviously. So for a private individual wanting to come in, okay, now you will have a state federation doing their own thing, which is run by the state, paisa wahan se aa raha hai. But for a private individual to come in at grassroots, are there enough monetization ways? Like, paisa डालेगा तो बनने कैसे वाला है?
So now again, even our associations and federations have their own limitations as well.
Yes.
India is a vast country, and in grassroots football, one of the key elements about grassroots and in the way we mature it is to have these kind of partnerships. So when we talk about partnerships, it's not just big organization. Partnership even at an individual level, because even that individual is a part of the entire big picture. He in fact is also playing a big role. So even in our coach education, we say yes, whose job is it to who all are answerable or who all are responsible to make sure the grassroots goes. It goes all the way from FIFA to AFC, AIFF, state, district, and it goes all the way down to even an individual. So yes, they do play an important role, because the federations and associations cannot go to every corner of the country, and it's just that the individuals have to be smart enough to identify a problem, and whenever there is a problem, there's an opportunity. So there are a lot of coaches who are self-employed, who just have their one coach just brings together like 20-30 children and starts coaching them. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. And those are the kind of people, in some way or the other, we should try, and at least the federation or something, the association should try to try to empower them, not monetarily, but in some or the other way. So yes, they do play an important role, and I have personally seen so many coaches doing that. Most of the coaches are self-employed. So in fact, there was something that I had proposed, like all the ex-players, ex-national team players, they should be given every year we should be having some counseling for them for life after football. Because if you see, and coaching is one of the best places for them to go. I mean, it's not necessary that you have to be a professional player to be a good coach, but it's an advantage. Definitely it's an advantage. I mean, playing and coaching are two different things, but playing career definitely complements your coaching as well. So especially the players in the national team setup, and we have seen a lot of ex-players, legends, but after football now they are they are back to
True.
ground zero. So
True.
even for them, even if once a year we can have some kind of counseling or something, we teach them the soft skills that are required. We teach them something about the market, what's happening in the market. So after their footballing days are done, even they can go and at least they can do is get together 30-40 children and start training them. So yes, there is a lot of opportunity because there are a lot of problems, and yes, I mean, this is one of the fields where you have a lot of self-employed people. You don't always need a brand. If I have to go 200 kilometers from the city, and if I go to any locality, and if I say, hey, I'm going to start training a few children, and then there I'll immediately get 5 children, I start training them, and they will go to 10, 20, 30, then it depends on how good I am. But yes, there is definitely they won't wait for which brand are you. So they will be like, oh, you are going to teach us football, okay, we'll join you, and then there is of course an opportunity there.
True, and then that mini ecosystem has been coming up, right? Where you have these D license coaches, the C license coaches setting up their own academies. So if you, from the background that we come in from, right? So we worked in sports technology, and we've also dabbled in trying to help the whole sports ecosystem come up. So we've worked in grassroots as well. One thing that we've seen is obviously the scope to monetize is slightly limited. Obviously it depends. And one of the things that stops a lot of private players, again, I don't know if it's a good or a bad, right? But as you said, a lot of individuals have started doing it. So which, from the marketing definition, it's an unorganized market. Now, trying to organize it, maybe you get 5 of these coaches that run their own academies, you get them all under one brand, right? Let them get their money that they're getting. So maybe I'm hoping in the next decade or so that starts happening as well. Because the more private money that comes in, I feel the more organized the whole sector gets. And the efforts are going to be more sustained, right? With individuals, there's always the possibility that they fall off, right? So if there are 2 bad quarters, and I have a family to run, I have bills to pay, I'm going to quit, right? So beyond this, what other opportunities do you see? Because I don't think there's a lot of technology being used today in India, at least in grassroots. What kind of technology have you seen happening in grassroots, and what other scope do you feel that where can technology come in? So
one thing that we ourselves use in our academy is one CRM. CRM, we are using a technology. So there is an app in which we track all the fees that the children are paying, and it's automated, and it gives you a nice graph, and you can just you have a dashboard in which you can actually see the exact number of students, how many pending payments, how many payments are made, the attendance, the coaches, and everything. So yes, to once like you said, once it gets organized, there will definitely be the need for technology. There is even now, and technology is one of the way to even organize it.
True.
And once it gets organized, then technology will go deeper and deeper. So what happens is, as of now, the technology, especially in the grassroots, is not entered in the technical aspect of the game as such, but in the administrative aspect, we have so many brands out there who are either giving you CRM for your academies, or they are doing player data management, they are doing competition management. So yes, technology has entered, and of course this has to be the future. And it's because the future is, the children are going to be tech savvy.
Oh yes.
Even your 6-year-old.
They already are.
Yes, and it will be even more. So to engage with them, you have to adopt the latest whatever. Like say for example, Japan. anime is big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so even in there was some case study I was reading. So they had started one of the most famous cartoon characters. They made him play football, and that's
Interesting.
how they reach to the. So it's like our Chota Bheem
Going and playing
TV
football, right?
and
Yeah.
just playing football, and like one season dedicated on Chota Bheem playing football. That would have a massive effect on children, and they're like, oh wow, he's playing football. Even I want to give it a shot. So. Yes, there are some things. So similarly, on the technology side, you can have some interactive games.
Yes.
So now everybody is hooked onto PUBG, but you cannot just pick a gun and go start shooting. But then
Not in India, at least.
yeah. So I don't know how, but there is definitely a big space that the technology can come in and be one of the integral parts of the grassroots ecosystem.
So, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said admin side pe there's technology. So we know a lot of these CRM SaaS products that do competition mapping and whatnot. Beyond that, now India has always been a jugadu market. Jahan technology nahi hai, we've figured out ways to do it, right? So I've always had this question that, say there's a kid playing amazingly beautiful football in, I don't know, Arunachal Pradesh or say maybe in Kashmir, right? How does a guy sitting in Bangalore come to know about that? Because I don't think there is any scouting network or any kind of technology being used today to scout. Whereas Western countries and more developed, I wouldn't say Western, more developed countries which play football have these systems in place. Also, they're not as big and vast as the country we are. How do we bridge that gap today? क्या जुगाड़ लगा सकता है इसके लिए?
So as of now, what's happening is, at that level, if you're talking about a young child, so at that level, we don't even have any league system to actually have that child come and play. So in the first problem we have to solve is, of course, talent identification is a problem, but giving that talent a platform is a bigger problem to solve. So first thing we should be focusing on is to have a platform across India where at least children come and start playing. So first few years are just going to go in creating those platforms. Now baby leagues, if you see, are happening across the country. So that's at least giving the children of the nation a platform.
True.
And once that platform is created, then you'll automatically see all these technologies that come in, because it will be very it will be very organic. Because hey, there are so, like right now there are children playing cricket everywhere, but then they'll be like, hey, I want to become a scout and I've seen him, let me do something. So once you have the platform, so step one would be, even the federations and everybody's working on it, that first we have a platform, that there might be a child in Kashmir, yes, of course, but probably where are we seeing him? Probably he's really good and we see a picture, but he's playing in the school and the level of ability is mismatched. So we see, oh wow, he's really good, but then where, how, what, why? And so once he is also in that kind of a league or a tournament where he shows that kind of a consistency for 7-8 months, a year, now we are talking seriously. So the first thing is going to be, create platforms, and once the platforms are created, then I'm sure someone from his village itself will be like, hey, I've seen this child for like 8-10 months, let me do something about it. He himself, for his own selfish reasons, probably, he'll be like, let me make a few calls in Delhi, hey, I've signed this player, do you want it? So it will be organic. So, everything is like, so one thing, if we take one step, the second step is an automatically, organically, you have set up for your second step once you take the first. So I think, yes, talent identification, of course, is going to be a problem, and it still is a problem. But giving a platform where you go and scout the talent is a bigger problem. So giving a platform is priority number one, and from that platform, you get better talent, and that will complement your talent identification program.
No, you spoke about a platform, right? So I think we've had a lot of leagues, and one, I would not call it a league, because if it's a day-long tournament, it's not a league, which most of the tournaments that are happening right now in the country are, right? It starts at 8 in the morning, ends by 6 in the evening. Now, these leagues have started coming up, tournaments have started coming up. What after that though? Because I think there's one happening every weekend, right? So every weekend there's one private tournament happening. And technically these are grassroots tournaments, right?
Yeah.
But is there a roadmap for people playing in these tournaments? Ki chalo, meko scout kar bhi liya. Okay. How do I get to maybe the top league, which is for me I-League, for the country ISL? And is there a way, because again, visa rules state that if any guy who's good enough or a girl who's good enough, women have it slightly easier that way because they're ranked higher, which because they're a better team than the men's team, obviously. But for men, it's so difficult, right? That way. So, is there a roadmap, and how do we ensure that if there isn't one today, there is one in the future? So, how do we ensure that these guys actually go out and play somewhere?
Yeah. So, coming back to your one-day tournaments and a Saturday-Sunday weekend tournament. So, of course, your in terms of player development, they don't play a very vital role because it's a one-day pop-up event or a two-day pop-up event. But of course, I would say they also are important because anything you do at the grassroots level has an effect on something. It does complement something else. So, say for example, if you are owning a serious academy, you won't participate in that pop-up league. You will probably look at, that league is 2 months long, I want to go play there. But if we are just a group of friends and we say, this weekend there is a league, so your recreational crowd can go and play that league because they cannot commit 3-month long league. So your players who are really focused on development, yes, there are leagues who cater to those kind of people, as well as there are these pop-up leagues and you just see a bunch of friends, hello, aaja, tu aaja, and then they just form a team and then they go play and then it's over. And so that is mainly recreational football, and of course it is also important because again we are trying to
obviously yes.
So say for example, you with your colleagues can go and play the weekend corporate tournament, but you and your colleagues would think twice before committing for a 4-month long league. So, your recreation, and you also are an important part of the ecosystem, because even you and your colleagues are going to buy shoes, going to buy jerseys, going to buy stockings, or whatever, or are going to rent that infrastructure. And then there is a greater demand for the infrastructure. So everything does contribute. So, but then again, layering. So recreational, and then there is something that we are looking at a player development perspective. Then of course 3 months, 4 months league is very important.
If you look at these pop-up tournaments, right, and they're mostly hyper-local, right? So Powai will have a tournament where players from Powai come in, and they've all sprung up because of these turfs, right? So you have turfs everywhere, right? And that's how these hyper-local tournaments have started coming up. Now, if I just try and draw an analogy with the music scene, okay? So if you think of how hyper-locally scenes have picked up, right? So you've seen rap picking up. Rap has come from the streets. In India, if you look at rap, it could have only come from Bombay, right? Delhi में rap नहीं निकलने वाला था यार कभी, Bombay में ही rap निकलेगा, and it came out of Bombay, right? So, and if you now look at football, how Spanish street football came up, tiki-taka, you had the ginga from Brazil. What stops an Indian style of football from coming out, right?
Firstly, Delhi people are not going to be happy with your statement.
I'm not going there anytime soon. So.
Because the rap culture in North India was.
I don't think Yo Honey Singh is rap. Okay, I'm gonna put this out there. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Because I was in Delhi and I was speaking to a few of these underground artists and they had their. So anyway, coming back to the point. In the music scenario, diversity is amazing. Diverse kind of music, and you get a lot of varieties and all. But in India, if I talk about football, I would. This is my personal opinion. I may be wrong, but I find that diversity is the biggest disadvantage for us in terms of football.
Okay.
Because what happens is, if you want to have 11 players playing a same style of football, Okay, so but one player is from Kashmir, the other one's from Kerala, one's from Mizoram, the other guy is from Gujarat. So there are so many cultural differences. They cannot even communicate with each other, talk to each
Yes.
other in a common language. So I mean, the national team coaches, I've interacted with a few. They find it so difficult to just bond these players together. So I spent like 6 months last year in Odisha. So me and the team over there, we were planning. So we were just sitting and we were working on a plan, and then we just while I mean it just the a conversation, one conversation led to the other, and we were like, in 15 to 20 years time, it is easier for Odisha to have a stronger team than the national team. Because no disrespect to anyone in the national federation, because there are so many other factors that complement it. Because see, if you look at India, it's like a continent, it's Europe.
Yes, it is.
Like every
Yes.
200 kilometers, the language changes. Every 300, 400 kilometers, the food habits change. I mean, the way your cuisine changes. So in India, diversity for me is a disadvantage, because your UEFA team won't be. I mean, your Spanish team can be stronger than your UEFA team.
True.
So I think, and because UEFA team might get all the stars and all that individual talent, but then you might probably get a good generation of players. But then if you see an overall ecosystem and sustainable growth, then you always have that. So that's one of the things I find it difficult, especially after spending time in most of the states across India. Like, it's very difficult to get them together, and usually they come together at the age of 14, 15, when most of their sensitive years, they've already grown up in a certain way, in a certain culture. The socio-economic factors are different, and the diversity does become a disadvantage.
Would you say India today has a style? And I'm gonna dial this back a bit first, and let's talk about the most famous sport in the country, cricket. Right? So it has taken us possibly 30 to 40 years to come from a space where we were scared to play fast bowlers to now the whole spectrum. Now we've got traversed the whole spectrum, and now we are the more aggressive side, right? So we've come from being scared cricketers to being the more aggressive ones now, right? So if we are going to Australia, you'll see an aggression, right? A brand of aggression that maybe started off since the turn of the century with Ganguly, and then it's been carried forward by, say, a Dhoni or a Virat Kohli. Now in football, at least from the outside, if I see, I've seen the style of football changing, right? So 20 years back, it was ball mila to lat maar. Now it's search for your players, right? Kick it to somebody, not just clear it out. Do we have a style today?
We don't have a specific style, because most of the coaches, they want to again, once you go at the top level, your results do matter.
Yes.
And then you have to work with the players that you have. You cannot just play tiki taka because Spain is playing it. You cannot just play high tempo, high pressing football just because Liverpool is playing it. So that all those things are flavor of the months. Like, आजकल क्या चल रहा है, ये चल रहा है, so adopt this. And then next month this is working, so okay, adopt this. So you cannot have the flavor of the month approach. What we do have to do is, we need to first broad base the sport, and otherwise we won't even identify the right kind of problems before solving it. So we need to identify, and to identify the problem, we need even a bigger, sample size. The number of children that are playing football, organized football, is very, very low. So right now the problem is to grow the game, and to try to get it a little more organized at the grassroots level, and that's the solution which we are looking at. How the national team plays and all that, it will fall in place slowly by slowly, one step at a time. But then, as of now, the biggest problem is that there is no organized structure for the younger players. And again, in one of my conversations with one of the youth national team coaches, even he was like, yes, these players are playing for India, but they still lack the techniques, the basic techniques. And imagine a national team coach is trying to teach basic techniques to the players at those ages, whereas it should have come like from when the player was 8-year-old, 7-year-old. So, and now when he is 15, 16, and still the coaches are teaching him basic techniques. So it becomes very difficult even for the national team coaches, because the supply itself is such that even they have to drop down their level to match the players' level. So if their level is up here, but the supply of players is here, I mean the players won't suddenly shoot up. I mean the coaches have to drop down and again break it down and start from the basics.
Who does the onus fall on, right? And when I say onus for a lot of things, right? So right in the grassroots, if you look at it, right? Who's going to teach the kids the technique to play? Who's going to train the trainers? One, to teach the kids what to do. And when these kids go out and finally play, how do you ensure that the referee can actually spot a handball, man? Like, I mean, I'm sorry to say this on camera, but referees in India, because again, I'm not shitting on them, they're as good as their teachers, right? So they've not had they've not learned from anybody better. So we've not had referees. I think one referee that's ever refereed in a FIFA World Cup, which was also a linesman, right? And not a guy who was the main referee. So we've not had those stories. So anybody that's today taking up refereeing is only taking up as a hobby. Okay, there's not enough money. I think what, $500 per a game. So it's not good enough, right? So who trains the referees? Who trains these trainers? A lot of private organizations have come in. Barcelona came in, PSG came in, Arsenal came in. You've just had the AC Milan guys come into Kerala. So who does the onus fall on? Like, who trains all of these people? Is it private players that need to take on the mantle and say, hey, you know what, we're going to pump in money, sort this shit out? Because if we don't do this, there's no place for us to make money, right? If a private player doesn't contribute to the growth of the ecosystem, the value of the pie is not going up. तो मुझे खुद पैसा नहीं मिलने वाला है उसके वजह से. Or is it the state bodies that decide, no, we have to take the onus and start doing this?
No, so the thing is, there have been a lot of partnerships, not only in terms of referee development, even in terms of coach education. There have been a lot of partnerships in which there are private players and state associations coming together. And I did one course in Goa recently where it was state association was the facilitator, and the entire course was done by a private organization. So, and state association themselves were like very happy about it. And even we are doing a course later this month in which the district association is also happy that we are taking up this initiative, and they have come forward and supported us, even so as the state association. So yes, the partnerships do matter, because like I said, the federations and associations cannot do everything by themselves. They are tight on funds, they don't have enough resources, so even they have their own limitations. So a strategic partnership always works. So be it referee development, be it player development, coach education, whatever it is, a strategic partnership has to be there. And then again, talking about referees, yes, especially with children football, you cannot, I keep talking about this in coach education, like we don't have the best players in the world. We don't have the best coaches in the world.
True.
And referees, how do we get the best referees in the world? Again, referees also, they need to start somewhere. So something that I'm totally against is, coaches shouting at referees, especially in the children's football.
Yes.
Because say tomorrow I have to take up referee, and if I get my initial referee certificate, then the association is going to send me for a children's game. Obviously, they are not going to send me to ISL or elite division or your top divisions. I have to start somewhere, and I will start with children's football.
Yes.
So the players and even the coaches have to understand that one is that even that referee is learning. Even you are not the best coach yet.
True.
neither is that referee.
True.
So even he is there learning, even you are there learning, and whenever the coaches shout at the referees, there are players who observe that. And nowadays you start seeing 14-15-year-old children shouting at their referees, because since the age of 8 they have also heard, okay, my dad is also shouting at him, my coach is also shouting at him. So abhi to I am scared, but as soon as he becomes 12, 13, 14, thoda daring aa gaya, to now he'll start shouting at the referee, which is not the right way. I mean, to be honest, not that I am a saint, I am also guilty of doing that, but then later on you introspect and you think, I mean, no, this is something that was wrong. Even on my part, I have been there, done that, and guilty as charged. That yes, but then you think, and okay, these are the things that you should avoid, and those are the things that you don't do. So of course, coming back to the development of the referees or coaches or players, whoever, strategic partnerships are the way forward, and you have to join hands and move forward together. It's for and both the parties have to gain from it, even the private players, even the associations. So with my while I was working in football, with Football Delhi, the state association, even we were actively looking for private players to come and associate with us, because even we knew that we alone are not enough, and we cannot do it without the clubs, without the academies, without your sports management companies, whatever. So we were actively looking, and instead of the others coming to us, we were actively going and pitching them some partnerships. So yes, I mean, it is changing now. At least it's way more open than it used to be.
Yes.
पहले तो पता भी नहीं चलता था, कभी trials हो गया, when is the team selected, who was the coach, and when did they leave. But as of now, it's a little more transparent, and the associations and federations are more approachable now than they were before. And yes, of course, it will keep getting better.
True. I actually dream of a day where Delhi football can talk to AIFF, can talk to FIFA, and actually take decisions together, right? So much bureaucracy in football as well, and let's not get into that, right? So, but I do agree with what you're saying, that the whole public-private partnerships need to start happening. Policies need to change. So yeah, we can just hope for the best, right? And we're gonna now try and end this. We had a really interesting chat, and there's one thing we do. So what we do is we revisit the chats in, say, a quarter to 2 quarters from now, to see if things have changed. We discussed a lot of things. We discussed how grassroots mein kaam hona hai. We're talking about what policies maybe can change. So we'll come back to this chat in 6 months again and see if things have actually changed. I'm going to end on a light note, and this was not planned, by the way. Okay, so you said, playing the sport as a child is very important, because in 20 years, that's the only thing that puts you back in the sport, right? I did that. At 30, I decided, aaj nahi to kab. And I'm going to say this on camera, man. I looked at your story, right? So I said, hey man, this is a guy I know. And he is, I don't know if everybody knows this, right? You're in a rock band. You're a commercial pilot. And you decided to come and work in grassroots football, not even take the cushy job in football, right? कि है यार media manager बन जाओ ना मुंबई सिटी या कोई club का, पैसे तो है, right? So I looked at your story. I said, hey man, if I don't do it now, when am I doing it? And I actually looked at you like, हाँ यार प्रशांत है मेरा दोस्त, if he's doing it, I look up to him and I start doing this. So what got you back, man? Like from a rock band to a commercial pilot to a grassroots instructor.
Well, I mean, the rock band was just like those college days. So 11, 12 में पढ़ाई तो नहीं की, and then one of my classmates, he was a drummer. So he used to play drums, and we used to go to his place, and his band used to come and jam, and I was like, wow. And that was the first time I actually heard rock music. So they used to cover Nirvana and some other Pearl Jam and all. So I started listening to it, and I was like, wow, I got really inspired. So then, after my 12th standard, my dad gave me some money to buy a new phone, like ये 15,000 ले for 6600.
Ouch! Yeah.
And then what I did was 12,000 का drum kit खरीदा. 3,000 का Motorola का वो blue color का light वाला, it was, everybody used to get scared of my phone, you know, उसका backlight was blue. So, and I bought the drum kit home, and then I was like, chalo, I'll start practicing. So, you know, drums are easier that way. And then one thing led to the other, then we formed a band, and then we organized 3 rock shows. You know, in which back in the days, Devoid, Scepter, and all these.
That was there, I remember. When I was there, yes.
So that was just like those teenage years. But yeah, that I was very passionate about the music scene then. And then I went to the US. I did my commercial pilot training, and then I was working as an instructor. So I used to teach people how to fly. So you know, if you are a fresher and you want to become a commercial pilot, I would teach people how to fly. So you know, that's when I fell in love with teaching. I was like, wow, you know, I mean, there were a few, apart from the technical subjects, they used to even teach you, like, you know, the art of teaching and how actually teaching works. So I did a few sessions on that, and then I realized, like, wow, I enjoy teaching. And then people started coming and telling me, like you know, you're good at it. So then I went to Canada after that. And then once I came back, when I was, converting my American FAA license to Indian, that was a tedious process. I mean, paperwork तो is I mean, उससे सरकारी काम बड़ा कुछ नहीं है. So, you know, and then Kingfisher shut. So Kingfisher shut. Then, you know, I mean, it was projected that for the next 2 years at least, there are going to be no jobs for pilots, because again it's like a small community, and एक airline भी गिर जाता है, and they had like a good 25-30% market share back then. So that happened. So some of my friends started taking up odd jobs like call centers and all that. So I just thought, like, you know, and I was playing and I was teaching children locally. So then I just started taking that कि चलो इसके अंदर ही let me try something. So you know, I started off with 7 children, and then one thing led to the other, and the turf culture came in, and this and that, and now we have almost 400 plus children, so who are full time. So it was just you know, I mean, because of Kingfisher shutting down, I switched to football, and I thought, like, instead of going to call center or something, I would rather do this. So, and then one thing led to the other, and then I was at a point where I had to decide, like, you know, okay, aviation kept coming down, football kept going up, and then I was in the situation, and then I was like, no, football it is. So then I took up football, and now from teaching people how to fly to teaching people how to coach. So I mean,
interesting, man. Seriously, you know,
it's amazing. And they say, right, like 60% of your life you spend working. So you better do what you love.
Oh yes.
So you know, I mean, that's something that I follow, and I'm glad I was able to inspire you.
Oh yes.
It's good to see that, you know, and that's the thing. More than me, I was an excuse. The game itself, you fell in love with the game at your early in your when you were a child, and I was just then, acha, ye bhi okay now.
Those validation, right?
Exactly, validation. Yeah. So, and that's the similar thing that we are trying to do with children now. Just, I mean, it's their time to play. Let them have fun. There are so many soft skills that they are learning from it. And tomorrow, who knows? They become a great engineer. They become a great management students, whatever, and there is going to be a day when even they think of giving it back to the sport, if not as a full-time employee back in this game like you did, but they will look forward to consciously contribute something or the other. So that should be the bigger picture, we should all be focusing on. And the final thing would be, we should be patient before. Grassroots is all about patience. We cannot give steroids and just, okay, India ka rank idhar hai 100, acha, let's give it some steroids and get it to 50. We can do that. But then what happens when some of the things stop falling and it just comes crashing down? So it has to be sustainable. Money is not everything.
True.
If money was the case, then China, the money it's pumping in. Qatar, they would have played the World Cup final.
True.
But then there are so many different things, and horizontal growth is something that we should focus on.
Perfect way to end the episode, man. So we spoke about football, we spoke about music, we spoke about flying, and Malia, man. We have to thank Malia for you being here. Looks like perfect. That was a really nice chat. Thank you so much for coming in, Prashant, man.
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Also, please apologize to Delhi people.
Delhi people, I love you. Seriously, I love you, man.